What's happening, everybody? Spiffman255 here today, and the last video I put out, I feel like I was kind of calm, cool, collected, but I've been officially, completely and utterly pissed off by the complete and utter dishonesty of Patreon.com and the people that work for them. And all I have to say about it is Patreon can go suck a colossal bag of dicks. The other day, I basically put out some things, spoke a little bit about Sargon of Akkad, spoke a little bit about this, speculated about that or the other. Well, it's come out and Patreon has doubled down on their deplatforming of Sargon of Akkad. And in my opinion, they have removed all context. They're refusing to speak with him, but they'll speak to people like Tim Pool. We'll get into that in a minute. And it just reeks of elitist. There's nothing you can do about it. We have all the power and you have none. And this is what I spoke about in my last video, about Silicon Valley loving the fact that they get to control everything. And why do I watch Sargon of Akkad? It's because I think that Sargon of Akkad is a very articulate voice as a representative for classic English liberalism as a political position. And it's the same reason that I watch Ben Shapiro for classic conservatism and their points of view. And it's the same reason that I watch people like ContraPoints for modern left-wing rhetoric. And I do my best to watch the spectrum of political commentators on YouTube because I find the entire idea of the culture war, this political culture war, to be absolutely fascinating. I absolutely love the arguments and the things that go into them. But one thing that I absolutely despise is authoritarianism. I absolutely despise it and I will oppose it at all turns. And what we have here with this Patreon situation is 100% without a doubt authoritarianism. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in here and first we're going to look at Subscribestar, the alternative that Sargon of Akkad and many other people were kind of turning to as a backup to Patreon. Well, what happened? The second that these people started moving to Subscribestar, people shut them down. PayPal bailed out on them. Stripe, their payment processor, bailed out on them. So let's look at this. This is a post that Subscribestar put out as a result of this. It says, "Dear friends, we are here now not to tell you that, quote, we are sorry, but they made us shut our shop down and now we're going to just cry ourselves to sleep goodbye. Just the opposite. We're fighting back and integrating new, unbiased, and predictable processors that will allow us to grow with you. This takes time. We estimate anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks from start to finish. This may require us to extensively travel across the globe for the best possible solution. Stars, you have to know, all your money were successfully rescued from the PayPal and will be paid out to you in a timely manner. We had less luck with Stripe, but it is all manageable. Subscribers, we temporarily pause accepting new subscribers as well as new donations and tips. All previous contributions are safe and will be distributed to corresponding stars properly. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Our team is working tirelessly for all of us being able to secure our future without fear of being bullied by crooks in corporate suits and their subservient weasels. We are online and will stay so. We wish you the same. Talk to you soon. Truly yours, Subscribestar team." That, to me, is a very honest, genuine, and direct address of this situation of PayPal and Stripe bailing out on this platform. And I don't know why PayPal and Stripe pulled out, but it seems like, I don't know, might have to do with the fact that there is a new influx of individuals that the people who work at these places do not care for. And why don't they care for them? Well, because they say things they don't like. They maintain a political ideology that they find unpleasant. And because certain people say certain words and they find them to be harmful in some way. Words. Fucking words. Sticks and stones, motherfucker. Like, they're going to put this entire business out of business. And I really hope the Subscribestar pulls through this and finds somebody who's willing to do their fucking job, serve their purpose, and shut the fuck up. Because it's like I said in my last video, Patreon, PayPal, Subscribestar. These fucking things are there for no other purpose than to help me get my dollar to someone else in an electronic way. Patreon has a really interesting method by which they can allow people to put content that would otherwise be available to everyone behind a paywall. And if people are willing to pay for it, that's the free market at work. I don't care what it is. But no, people have to go and they have to start calling these things platforms for hate speech. Well, it's like I said before, again, you know, is an Apple iPhone a platform for hate speech? Because I guarantee you that people who are racist have iPhones. Is Coca-Cola supporting those who conduct hate speech? Because I guarantee you, people who are long-standing card-carrying members of the Ku Klux Klan drink fucking Coke. So what do you do? Why do you get to select? Who made you the moral goddamn arbiter of the entire fucking planet? Like, this is bullshit. So that's Subscribestar. I really hope you guys pull your shit together and you can find somebody who's not going to do this to you. Let's look over here. Patreon. This was Tim Pool speaking to Jack Conte, the CEO of Patreon. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a part of it. Your policy says, on Patreon, what if someone just spiced some clever audio together and uploaded it to a random channel? I know this happens. It's never happened to me. I don't have enough shit on YouTube, and I don't have enough people to watch my shit. But I know this does happen. I have seen it before. And I mentioned last week that the on Patreon argument towards Patreon was pointless because these people do not stand on principle. They really enjoy the vagueness of their terms of service so that they can habitually fuck people over at their whim. And that's what they want. They have this amount of power to just do what they want with people's livelihoods. And it is an exceptional amount of power that they have over people who make their living on Patreon. So here's the response. Your first point is well taken. Because we are a payments platform, we examine behaviors on and off Patreon, and you are correct to point out that there is language that makes it seem like only content on Patreon is reviewed, which is not a constraint that we apply for all categories of the guidelines. So, point taken. We need to make that clear. Yeah, no fucking shit. I'm slacking our team that feedback now. Thanks for bringing it up. As for your second point, blah, 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 blah. He basically goes on to say that they look very closely at these things, and there's a rigorous process that they go through to review these things before they decide to take any action whatsoever. Yeah, we've seen that. What pissed me off so much was that Patreon did double down on the Sargon ban. So we're going to go over here and we're going to look at what they had to say about it. Hate Speech on Patreon by Jacqueline Hart. Some creators and patrons have questions regarding our removal of Sargon of Akkad for hate speech. We take a strong stance against hate speech and want to make sure everyone has the full context regarding this removal. I know for a fact that you define hate speech in this piece eventually, but I do stand for the opinion that there is no such thing as hate speech. And even if I were to agree that hate speech exists, I would not agree that it is not free speech. Again, sticks and stones. People can say whatever they want, and you have your full and great authority to look at them and say things back. So, before getting into the specifics, I'd like to warn you that there is some inflammatory language. Oh, a trigger warning? I guess we know which team you fucking bet for, don't we? In an interview on another creator's YouTube channel, Sargon said, quote, I just can't be bothered with people who choose to treat me like this. It's really annoying. Like, you're acting like a bunch of N-Star words. Yeah. Just so you know, you act like white N-Star words. Exactly how you describe black people acting is the impression I get dealing with the alt-right. I'm just not in the mood to deal with this kind of disrespect. And what is he doing? He is talking to a bunch of white supremacists and trying to find the hot button that cuts them the deepest. I find that to be very clear. Full context regarding his removal. That's not in your full context. All you did was put down what he said, and you did not put the context surrounding it. You did not articulate the situation that this man was in at that time when the alt-right was hounding him fairly frequently because he pissed them the fuck off. People have discovered that it was the alt-right and not the radical left that got Sargon deplatformed from Patreon, who sent this in. And it seems to me like the alt-right were in there harassing him, and then all of a sudden, poof. Who would have known about this? Not entirely sure. You be the judge of that. But you have not included the full context in this. But let's move on. Look, you carry on, but don't expect me to then have a debate with one of your F-Stargots. Like, why would I bother? Maybe you're just acting like an N-Starer. Have you considered that? Do you think white people act like this? White people are meant to be polite and respectful to one another, and you guys can't even act like white people. It's really amazing to me. Again, he is using language against them in a way to hurt them the most. And for people who are this radicalized to be racist, this hurts them very much. And maybe you do not understand what he is doing. But it seems to me like just the utterance of these syllables in a certain sequence is enough to be just a heinous fucking person. You have now tried this man for heresy. He is now officially a heretic. He's a blasphemer, isn't he? Because he uttered these syllables in a certain in a certain manner. And so let's continue on. Some people worry that we're reviewing content not posted on Patreon. As a funding platform, we don't host much content. Bullshit. But we help fund creations across the internet. As a result, we review creations posted on other platforms that are funded through Patreon. Sargon is well known for his collaborations with other creators, and so we apply our community guidelines to those collaborations, including his interview. What makes you the arbiter of morality in the modern day? For any reason whatsoever. You're a fucking payment processor. What the absolute fuck? How do you get off acting as if you are the moral arbiter of someone's speech? Especially on YouTube. Is YouTube paying you to police their platform? Is YouTube paying you to ensure that you keep a tight noose around the neck of motherfuckers who might step out of line? We all know that YouTube demonetizes the fuck out of anyone who does anything. It's even remotely bad because they're trying to become family friendly. It's why fucking late night TV and all these other things are just encroaching on YouTube. That's why the YouTube Rewind was such a fucking disappointment. But what motivation do you have to police content on other platforms? What motivation do you have to try to influence people's behavior in this way? In our community guidelines, we state that we don't allow hate speech. Part of how we define hate speech in those policies is, quote, hate speech includes serious attacks or even negative generalizations of people based on their race and sexual orientation. So, if someone were to say black people steal, that would be hate speech. If someone were to say black people have big dicks, that would not be hate speech. Am I reading this correctly? And you know, furthermore, if someone were to say something, I don't know, for example, all white people are racist, would that be considered hate speech? I highly doubt it. We also say, quote, when reviewing an account for a potential hate speech violation, we consider some of the following questions. Is the creator using racial slurs or negative depictions of a protected class? Oh, a protected class. I guess white people just aren't protected. I bet you men aren't protected either. I bet you Christians aren't protected either. I bet you bend over backwards for any other type of group that may be in opposition to any one of those groups. But, yeah, protected class. That sounds, kind of Orwellian, doesn't it? In this case, Sargon used racial slurs to insult others and specifically linked those slurs with negative generalizations of behavior, in contrast to how people of other races act. He also used a slur-related sexual orientation to generally insult others. Taken in whole, with all of the context, this violates the community guidelines. Really? Here we are on Patreon. Let's do this. It is the same word. Hi. The hashtag story continues. The myth of the racist. That's interesting. Yeah. So here is this word present in 9 pages. 9 pages on your search results in Patreon. Is this acceptable? Is this acceptable? What about this one? Oh, look at all of this. Look at all of this. Again, 9 pages with this terrible, terrible word. Oh, I think somebody might get hashtag triggered searching for something like this. Now, I could go on and on with this because I'm quite certain that whatever fucked up thing I type into this search bar, something will come up. You know, let's just try this. Oh, hey, look, Antifa California. You literally have a terrorist organization on your platform. They're here. Look, they're here. They got 1 patron. They're making money off of terrorism. How about that? You are literally supporting terrorism, Patreon. How do you feel about that? God damn. We understand some people don't believe in the concept of hate speech and don't agree with Patreon removing creators on the grounds of violating our community guidelines for using hate speech. We have a different view, I'm certain. Patreon does not and will not condone hate speech in any of its forms. Oh, yeah? Yeah? I think I've just proved you wrong on that front. We stand by our policies against hate speech. We believe it's essential for Patreon to have strong policies against hate speech to build a safe community for our creators and their patrons. What is unsafe about words? Words cause no real physical harm to anyone. How can you be unsafe on a website? I want someone to explain this to me. If anybody out there is watching this and they can leave me an excessively long comment down below and explain to me how words create an unsafe community, I would love to hear it. I will read you out in full. Give me sources. I will read whatever book you recommend. But please just explain it to me, because words do not hurt people in any real way. If anything, words should make you stronger as a person. Thicken your skin up and hone your arguments so that you can use words to then counter those words. God damn. The fact of the matter is that this is a clear example of Silicon Valley overreaching its power and then doubling down on it to basically say, all of you are wrong. We're right. And we will control the words that you say, whether you like it or not. And if you try to go elsewhere and evade our control, we will find you and ensure that you have no other option. That is a frightening thing. How many fingers am I holding up, Winston? This is bullshit. I'm absolutely pissed off about it. I really, truly am. I've said before, I don't make money off of these videos. I don't have enough subscribers. I might in the future if I got more. And one thing that I do find incredibly fascinating is that Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin came out yesterday and said that they were in the works of making an alternative to Patreon that will not be able to be influenced by the Silicon Valley giants who are trying to control the social narrative. I hope, from the bottom of my heart, that this thing is successful. I've seen a lot of big creators pulling out of Patreon. Good. It has been made clear that they have no intention of ensuring that free speech is allowed on their platform. I've seen a lot of people speaking out about an Internet Bill of Rights, and I would support this wholeheartedly. Anyways, I just want to come out here, bitch and rant about this. It kind of worked me up earlier. And, you know, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below, especially if you can explain to me how words can actually hurt people and how words create an unsafe environment. Until then, I love you guys. Be good to each other.